Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining Aman and I today. We will be giving a presentation on the analysis of the World Bank Enterprise Survey 2022. And today we'll be focusing on international trade in Pakistan. We are very excited to share the key findings and insights that can not only help policymakers, but also the general public and businesses gain a better understanding of where the trade landscape in our country stands today. Now, Iman and I will be going over some key findings from the survey, starting with only 18% of Pakistani firms import inputs from abroad, which is significantly lower than the global average of 62%.
15% of Pakistani firms identify customs and trade regulations as major constraints in their importing and exporting activities.
And lastly, only 5% of the sales from Pakistan are exported directly, which is still a significantly higher figure than South Asia's collective figure of 4%. Now, Iman will be talking about the first section of the survey.
The first section of the report covers firms using inputs of foreign materials. According to the data collected by the survey, only 18% of Pakistani firms import inputs from abroad, which is 3 times less than the global figure of 62% and lower than the cumulative South Asian average of 35% as well. So while this may seem high and imports can seem like a double-edged sword, what can happen is that if the imports are used properly and regulated properly, these can add value to the materials that are being exported and can increase productivity. As shown, the imports of foreign origin will be higher for things like the manufacturing industry, while it is much lower for things in the service industry and the IT-related firms that operate in the country. So with 18% of manufacturing firms importing materials or supplies from foreign countries, only 8% from the service sectors too. And the highest importers in the industries are non-metallic mineral products, which make up around 30% of importing products from abroad, and 20% from the vehicle manufacturing industry, and chemical manufacturing industry, which makes up 14% of the imports. So while businesses can benefit as they produce higher quality products, they are also contributing to a positive balance of payments as these products will be exported in the future. As we can see in the next figure, these are the firms that contribute the most to importing inputs of foreign origin. So of the 18% of Pakistani firms that import these materials, only around 8% use total inputs from foreign origin. That means that either they're importing goods of a very specific quantity, of a smaller quantity, or they are importing goods that are of technological or productive advancement. So that's helping them produce better products. This is still very, very low compared to the South Asian average is 23% and the global average at 37, which is 4.5 times higher than the Pakistan at 37%. So if the import material can add to the value of the products that are being finished, it would encourage more exports into the country and would help in the long run with more imports increasing in the long term. Another thing that we should be looking at is the large margin that can be seen, as the majority of the people who filled out this survey are exporters, 46%, and firms that are importing more are also seen to export more. So of these 46% of surveyed firms, they're importing 3 times more than non-exporting firms at 15%, whereas non-exporting firms, which cater to the local economy, are only importing around 6% of total imports. So this can be seen as a way to increase quality assurance in the products that they are producing and increasing the amount of productivity that is going into producing the products. Now, Sarah will talk about the second part of the report.
So I will be going over the major constraints faced by the trading industry, where according to the report's analysis, 15% of Pakistani firms have identified customs and trade regulations as a substantial obstacle in their trade activities. This points to a noteworthy concern that deserves closer examination, which we'll be now taking a look into. So taking a closer look, we find that a vast majority of these firms struggling with customs and trade regulations are from the manufacturing sector, which constitutes 17% of the total firms. However, in the services sector, only 6% view customs and regulations as a significant problem, which is highly lower than the manufacturing sector. This pattern is echoed not just within Pakistan, but also across South Asia and the global stage. Next page, please. So when talking about the global perspective, let's zoom out and compare this trend internationally. In South Asia, a total of 18% of the firms express dissatisfaction with customs and trade regulations. Among them, 15% are from the manufacturing sector, while only 6% belong to the services sector. Similarly, at the global level, we also see that almost double the number of manufacturing firms, making 28%, consider customs and trade regulations a significant constraint, whereas only 12% of the services firms share this perspective. So why is there such a discrepancy between these two sectors? One plausible explanation revolves around the nature of their trade activities, where manufacturing firms typically deal with physical goods, which can take longer to navigate through customs. And on the other hand, the services sector involves human resources and in some cases can operate remotely without even having to cross borders. Next page, please. So talking about this figure, which we will now shift our focus to another aspect of the survey, the time that it takes for customs to clear imports and exports. Pakistani firms face longer waiting periods compared to both South Asia and the global average, as can be seen within the figure. Specifically, it takes 17 days for customs to clear imports, while South Asia averages at 14 days, and the global average stands at 12 days only. This means that essentially, Pakistani customs take an extra week to clear imports compared to the world average. But it doesn't just stop there. When it comes to exports, the situation is even more pronounced. In Pakistan, it takes 19 days for customs to clear exports, exceeding the time taken for imports as well. This trend is quite opposite for South Asia and the world, where exports are cleared in 12 and 8 days respectively. So the implications of these longer durations of imports and exports is significantly high. The extended waiting periods for both imports and exports in Pakistan can be slowing down operations and impacting not only earnings from export, but also the effective utilization of urgently needed imports, such as raw materials or essential inputs for numerous industries. However, there is a silver lining to it, which is that by reducing the number of days it takes to clear imports and exports, we can make trade more efficient. This efficiency could encourage more businesses to participate in trade, which can foster a sense of economic growth within the country. For businesses dealing in non-durable and perishable goods, a decrease in waiting time could translate into improved business outcomes and can contribute positively to the overall economy of Pakistan. Now, Iman will be going over section 3 of the report.
Yeah, as Sarah said, I'm going to be talking about the third part of the report, which is the proportion of total sales that are exported directly. So around 5% of sales from Pakistan are directly exported, which is very high considering South Asia's number, which is 4%, and the global proportion of sales that are exported directly at 6%. So this implies that Pakistan's products are very, very wanted by the international market. There's a willingness in the global market to purchase them, and that despite all these different major constraints that Pakistani businesses face, they're able to export these products. So what can be done is that this willingness and this ability of the global market can be capitalized on by reducing the red tape that is, like Sarah talked about, the number of days for imports and exports that are taken, by reducing those and allowing businesses to be more incentivized through the policies of customs and trades. So this is better to be used in a legislative standpoint, and exporting should be made easier and smoother so that businesses are incentivized to produce for the international market while fulfilling domestic demand. So it's also important to know that the figures revealed in the survey could vary when you account for the different industries that are operating within Pakistan. So while the manufacturing industry might be taking 17 days or 90 days to import or export products, this might be different for the agricultural sector, which is dealing with perishable items. And there could be delays because of the material that's being exported. For example, cotton or wheat, there's certain types of quality assurance that the product needs to go through. So in order to make sure that those due processes are fulfilled, that could also be adding certain delays into the product. So other delays could also be rising because of quality control problems that may be arising at customs offices or the border ports, things like that, and that Pakistani institutions or controls are not equipped enough to be dealing with things of perishable nature. So as you can see that even when we're considering the manufacturing and services sector alone at their own as well, further room for growth in terms of international trade can be identified, which are then facilitated by legislative and policy that can help in reducing the red tape that's going on and making the process more streamlined, making the process simpler so that businesses can engage in more and more international trade. And so because this is such a major constraint that is faced by people in the manufacturing industry in particular, and they are exporting a wide variety and wide breadth of goods and services, I think that it's very, very important that you look at the kind of measures that can be taken in order to improve the quality of the product that is being sent out and how you can improve the ease of doing business in Pakistan. So Sarah will now also be covering a few disclaimers that are important.
Right. So before I get to the disclaimers, we just want to highlight that these findings emphasize the need for efficient trade practices, enhanced collaboration, and targeted policy measures to drive economic growth and prosperity within Pakistan. So the two disclaimers that we want to give you, the first highlights that Gallup Pakistan has not conducted this survey work. We are only analyzing the publicly disclosed data and reports provided by the World Bank. This is a public service activity done on individual initiative of Gallup Pakistan and is not in any way endorsed or commissioned or supported by World Bank or its agents. Next, we also want to highlight that Gallup Pakistan is not related to Gallup International, which is headquartered in Washington, D.C., USA. We require that our services be credited fully as Gallup Pakistan and not as Gallup or Gallup Poll. We disclaim any responsibility for surveys pertaining to Pakistani public opinion, except those carried out by Gallup Pakistan, the Pakistani affiliate of Gallup International Association. Thank you so much. We will see you again as part of the next series in the videos. We hope you have a good time and hope you learned a lot through the video.